Go ahead and run it, Bob.
Okay, so the attendance is out of the way. The next one is take a motion to approve the previous minutes that's sent out by Peter MacGyver.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor makes the motion with Jen as the second. Any further discussions? Seeing none, if I could ask everybody else to mute your microphones, we are getting a little bit of a feedback here. Moving on to, all those in favor signify by saying aye, or just show of hands. Or do I have to do a roll call? Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the budget update. Neil Joyce, you want to give us a budget update?
Thank you, Chief. I did circulate just before the start of the meeting, the budget update. We processed invoices largely representing progress payments to CMS, to Pacheco Ross, as well as the rent and lease payments for the temporary fire station. Total expenditures to date are just over $3.7 million. And we are reflecting the full $21.7 million allocation or approved budget for the project moving forward. We still have a little bit of massaging to do to put the additional funding into the right buckets, if you will, but very, very pleased and grateful for the city's support to fully fund the project. Be happy to take any questions.
Chief?
Yeah, anybody have any questions?
Yes.
The mayor has a question. Go ahead, Mayor.
How did you circulate it? I didn't get an email.
I forwarded it to Butch by email. So
Well-
he probably didn't send, I literally did it 10 minutes ago, Mayor. So Butch
Okay.
probably hasn't sent it out yet.
Okay.
So we will make sure that that gets out to everybody. Any other further discussion on that? Okay, next on the agenda is a special recognition to the mayor and finance director, Liz Gilman, for budget support. I will try to do my best to represent Butch on this. He wanted to extend his gratitude to the mayor and Liz for formulating a very quick action plan to get us to the point where we are fully funded. And he wanted to recognize the efforts by both women on their support for the fire department and for the project moving forward. And I share that as well. So.
Well, thank you on behalf of both of us. It was Liz's doing as much as anything. She put together both a very impressive funding package and then made sure that the council understood it in every way that they possibly could. So it took a bit of doing, but it got done, and we are grateful to the council as well. We can't leave them out.
Yes, we're thankful for the city council as well for doing that and unanimously supporting the last piece at the last meeting, which was fantastic, and we appreciate all the efforts that the city council did. Did anybody else have any comments on this part of the agenda? Butch, did you want to try to jump in on this?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No, I know we brought it up before, but I think the big push in getting the extra 500,000 council took a lot of work. I was sort of disappointed after the Ways and Means meeting, thinking with split vote that it was pretty much dead, and I think the chief felt that way too. So I just really thank everybody for the hard work they did.
Yes, and there was a lot of work that was done on the city council's behalf from folks making sure that it went through unanimously as well. So thank you.
And I just wanted to make one comment about David Singer, because he actually stepped up and really worked pretty hard to educate some people, which was very helpful in the end result for us getting that money as well. So I just want to give David a big acknowledgement on that.
Butch, I think your internet stabilized. So you want it back?
All right, I'll try.
Okay.
Okay. So we're at the groundbreaking date set. So we've set the date for November 14th at 11 o'clock. I just will kick it over to Adam for a second. I think he'll show us the sign he's proposed. I think is a really nice sign.
I like it.
Can you guys all see it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Great.
Um,
So this is the site sign that we have proposed. We are just about ready to send this to the contractor to have printed and put up around the site. We're prominently featuring both the city's logo, seal, the fire department patch. And we also have the entire building committee here prominently featured on the sign to recognize all the hard work of all the people in this call.
Do we
Nice.
know when it will go up? Will it go up before the 14th?
It will go up before the 14th, to my knowledge.
Great.
It should only take, let's say, 2 days to print once the proof is approved, and then it can go up fairly quickly from there. So I don't want to make promises as to the date it'll be up, but it should be up before then.
Good to hear.
And can you just mention something, Adam, about how it will be displayed? I think you told me that you're going to display it a couple of 3 times because of the size of the lot.
So because of the size of the lot and the location of street trees, and also the way that this lot is viewed, both leaving town and coming into town, we're going to have it displayed on the 2 corners of the site. So as you're
Oh.
driving into town, you'll be seeing it, and also as you're leaving town, you'll be seeing it.
Very nice. Any questions for Adam?
Adam, how come the Pacheco Ross logo is bigger than everyone else's?
And on top.
I'll let Katrina answer that one. No.
No.
No, it's
I
all
think it's
good, all
great.
partners.
Yeah.
Yes, we're all partners, all the logos of the many companies that have been involved in this process, including the
Mm.
contractor on here, because we're all a team together to deliver an excellent building to the city.
Right. And I was just going to say it's because of our relationship with them since 2009.
It's been a long
Yeah.
time
Doing
coming.
analysis on the police, fire, and dispatch center for a public safety complex, and we've worked continuously with Dennis Ross since 2009. So he should get a couple of square inches bigger. Any other questions?
Looks great, Adam. Thank you.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Okay, Katrina, a little update on the permit process and the Procore permit programming DA Sullivan has put in place for the project.
Right, so one of the processes that we have to go through in approving, reviewing all of the documentation that comes from DA Sullivan electronically. They're using Procore, and we're still setting it up. I know there's a couple of things that we need to iron out with them, but they've started putting submittals through the system. We've been approving them, having them reviewed, go through the whole process and getting it back to them. So we're already working on that part of it, but need to work out a couple of bugs. That's normal for every project, as teams get to know each other. We haven't worked with DA Sullivan before, so we're just learning them, they're learning us and what we need to do. So that's moving forward. On the permit side, I did have a conversation with Mark Snow this afternoon. He has almost all of the information he needs, including the permit application from DA Sullivan. So he anticipates finalizing his review early next week, early to mid next week, so that there will be a permit probably by Wednesday next week. I know that things are already starting to happen at the site. The fence is up. There's some other signs up from DA Sullivan, but there's things already happening that they have permits for. So that's all good news, but we should have the building permit next week.
Perfect. Any questions for Katrina? Yeah, go ahead, Mayor.
I am wondering if down the road, maybe the next meeting, if possible, we couldn't have a review of the drawings, the interior, the interior layouts and so forth, to refresh our memories and to sort of refresh the memories of any of the public who may want to take a look at this video, the recording afterwards. Is that something that's doable? It doesn't have to be greatly detailed, but it seems like it was several months ago that we went over it as we were trying to figure out what to keep and what not to, and how you had to reduce the size of the building and so forth. So I wonder if we could get a just another update on that at a meeting.
Okay, we'd have to look at exactly what you're talking about. Certainly,
Okay.
if we're talking about sitting with a group of people like in the community center, okay, so I just want to understand what it would be. If
No.
it's something online like this as a WebEx where we would share a screen, that's certainly easier to accommodate. And that's something that I think we could certainly have set up probably mid-November.
Okay.
I'm guessing, again, there's a lot of things that we're currently working on,
Mhm.
but we'd want to make sure you have time to put together the group that you think is interested in this, and then set that up.
Okay.
So if you want to, ask who it is, I don't know what the mechanism is, Butch, for finding out whether it's on the committee or members of the public, like the mayor said, how you would invite those people to this
I think it was at
walkthrough.
the meeting itself there.
I'm sorry.
I think it's actually at this meeting. Is that right, Mayor?
Oh, is that what you're
Right.
saying, Mayor?
That's
Okay.
Yeah,
exactly
so
what I was saying. Now,
Okay.
we could accommodate perhaps additional members of the public by simply letting them know at this meeting, you will be presenting, updated drawings of the building, and both exterior and interior, with explanations of how each of the areas are being used and so forth. So, in that way, we kind of all have our memories refreshed, and the public, if it chooses to log on, can, and by members of the public, I mean, who are curious enough and interested enough, because that's not the kind of thing that's going to get put up in a public building anywhere at this point in time. So I feel like it could be available to people. And then we could certainly make a recording of this meeting available for anybody that was interested.
Right. So I would say to do a decent job at portraying the drawing set and the expectations, including material selections that were made, that went into the contract, that type of thing. Certainly it would take a certain amount of time. I would try to keep it to something like 15-20 minutes at the most.
Absolutely.
To not, run too long. People's time is precious. So
Absolutely, including yours.
Thank you.
Working now very fast and furiously to get us up and running.
Okay. And I'll work with Katrina and kind of come up with, a plan for a date to do that.
Mhm.
Now that we're not under a lot of pressure to meet, because things are moving on their own. Any more questions for Katrina? Katrina, any idea when they might, actually really start digging on the site and doing actual work?
Well, they can already do certain excavations. That's one of the early permits that they pulled from the city. So there are a number of site preparation bits of work that they can do with machines on the site. But once we need to get through things like the concrete, the underground structures, and the contractor is aware of, what are the early things that need to be reviewed so that they can start ordering them, buying them, putting them in the ground, et cetera. It all takes a process.
Okay, sounds good. Anyone else for Katrina? I can't see her, everybody, so you'll have to say something. Okay. Railroad property, title, mayor. Saw your email, still nothing new. Yeah.
No, Attorney Snyder did respond to my email this morning, in the early part of the afternoon, saying that they would check back with the title examiner and let us know when they had something different to tell us. So he did not address the question of the risk factor that we discussed. So, so here we are. We're still waiting to find out who owns that property.
Right.
And I don't know what happens if we find out no one owns that property.
Really. So that dovetails right into the utility location, obviously, until we have an understanding of where. But I know on that last meeting Katrina had with Eversource, Comcast, and chance to reach out to Comcast and talk to them at all?
There was an additional call earlier this week where we had both Eversource and Comcast on the call. Neil, I think, was also part of the call. So Eversource has pretty much 90% committed themselves to powering the floodlights that are on Coombs from a different direction, like going along Main and then coming down Coombs. So they're trying to take themselves completely out of the picture related to the wires that currently come across the back of the property. So it comes down to being just Comcast as far as we're aware. If there's another line on there, Comcast was going to go out to the site and verify what was left. But their sense, they also need to talk with their counsel regarding what the risk factors are for potentially using that strip of land for which we don't know who the owner is. And they would be wanting to bury their conduit in that land. So one of the things that I need to do is reach out to DA Sullivan. And Comcast is going to do the same thing with their own people, is see if there's a price for digging that trench there, since DA Sullivan would already be on the city's property doing some digging. If they've got equipment right there, is it cheaper for them to just dig this little thing on the piece of land where we don't know what's going on at some risk, and doing that versus Comcast having their own people do it? They would pay DA Sullivan directly if that was the way it worked out for cost.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions, Katrina, on the?
Butch, I'll just add, I was in conversations with the superintendent for DA Sullivan, Jeff, this morning. He was on site and met Comcast representatives this morning who were on site looking at the area and trying to determine an alternative pathway to feed or to refeed the fiber that is currently in our way. And we've made it very, very clear to Comcast that the window of opportunity is closing quickly. And we need that, we need that moved in 45 days.
Mm.
Thanks, Neil.
Thank you.
So let's keep the pressure on them.
Mhm.
Any new business we need to talk about? Anybody?
Butch, I have one item.
Yeah.
I took it upon myself to solicit testing services for the project.
Okay.
I contacted 4 firms: Allied Testing out of Springfield, Yankee Engineering from Worcester, John Turner Consulting from Sutton, and Universal Testing Services from Stoneham. I obtained 3 proposals. Universal did not quote because of geographical concerns. It's outside his service area. And I would like to move forward with Allied Testing. They provided pricing that was by far the most advantageous for the city. I'm happy to share those results and would offer that Allied is willing to either sign an agreement directly with the city, or we could run them through my contract under an additional services clause at the city's discretion.
Sure. Can you just explain what their services actually are for us?
So while the contractor is doing the work, we will have a third-party testing agency on site to perform concrete sampling, compression tests of concrete cylinders that are gathered when footings are poured, as a measure and a verification that strength is attained as is required by the design. They do non-destructive steel testing when the steel erection is done on site. They do soil compaction testing to make sure that the materials both meet sieve gradation for the specification and are also placed and compacted properly. They're basically independent QA/QC analyst that works directly for the city or for us, or independent of the contractor, shall we say, so that we're getting clear eyes and the contractor who's responsible for the quality is not paying for the tests.
And sort of what's the pricing range?
So we ask each testing agency for a half-day rate and a full-day rate for a whole host of services. They vary sort of by classification. You'll pay one price for a steel inspector, you'll pay another price for a concrete or a masonry inspector, and you'll pay a third price for a soils or a geotech inspector. And we sort of throw a collection of half days and full days and evaluate the proposal. And at the end of the day, whoever comes out with the lowest price, you have to assume that the more testing that you do, the greater the savings would be to the community based on the unit prices that were provided. So that's what we did. And based on our analysis, the range of total prices range between $25,000 and $35,000. I will also note that this was a budgeted line item, and we have up to $50,000 allocated for the testing and engineering expenses for the project.
Okay. So Mayor, maybe you should work with procurement on this little piece, and because it's a money item and it's not on the agenda, we should put it on the agenda for the next meeting for a vote.
Okay, that's a good idea. I see Laura shaking her head in the right direction. So, and we're talking tomorrow, so we'll discuss it.
So we have the procurement. I think we have the procurement angle covered. We're anticipating that the cost of services will be less than $50,000. So under the requirements for MCPPO, I believe that we're required to obtain 3 quotes based on a fixed scope of services, and we're encouraged to award to the lowest responsive bidder. And I think that we've checked all those boxes off. I will, depending on when the next meeting is scheduled, there may be a need to have them on site to do some initial sampling and gradation analysis of the soils that exist on site and determine their suitability for reuse as fill material. So maybe if we go through this process, I could ask for discretion from the committee to engage Allied in the interim, and then we could get a thumbs up from procurement if we believe we've done everything right and move everything forward.
Okay. And do you think if we had a meeting on the 10th, that would work for the entire service?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay. So is there a motion to engage them just for a limited need if that should arise between now and the 10th? You can, if you just,
Yes, can I jump in here for a second? I have a
Sure.
question about that. So we've already set our budget as a project. We have already have this in as a line item on the budget. And Neil has done his due diligence to find a contractor. Is there any reason why we just can't approve it now?
I think I would let Laura weigh in on that.
right.
Sorry, I had to unmute. No, I would agree if we can move forward now.
Perfect. And my only concern was he needed to get 3 bids and that sort of stuff.
It's all been
So
done.
And so he's all
Thanks,
done
Neil.
and we're good and everybody's good with that. So
So I would like to make a motion that we authorize Neil to exercise whatever he needs to start the process of this engineering study.
and hire
Allied,
which
And
firm?
hire.
Allied testing. Springfield, Mass.
Second.
I think I see Jennifer seconding it.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? I can't hear any. Okay, I vote yes, Mayor.
Yes,
Yes, Chief.
Yes,
Liz, Carol?
I think you said Carol, yes.
Yes. David M. I don't think he's on board. Steve Draculich.
Yes.
Thank you, Steve. Gene Wall,
Yes.
Amy McMahon. Jen Stromsten
Yes.
and Jim Nguyen. Jim? I think you said yes. Okay. So then the next item we just need to talk about is when do folks feel we need the next meeting? Is there anything that's going to go on between now and the end of next month? If we have Thanksgiving on the 24th, we really need to meet on the 10th for any reason. We're going to have the groundbreaking on the 14th.
Butch, I have one question. We are anticipating that the contractor will submit his first payment invoice for his bond and insurance expenses that are payable once the contract is awarded. I anticipate that invoice will be sent to us at some point, probably early next week.
Okay.
And those, as with all contractor invoices, the city has a limited amount of time to make payment on those invoices. So I think we need to just consider that in setting the next date and maybe get on a regular schedule for second week or third week of every month, and we'll process all the invoices the first of the month.
Okay, so the 10th of November,
there-
because that would be the second week.
is there any reason? Well, I was thinking of my request of Katrina and company with regard to the drawings. So I don't know if that's too soon for them. If it were, is there any reason why we couldn't meet on the 17th? I guess.
How does the 17th work, Neil, for the DA Sullivan issue?
That should be fine.
Okay,
I think, Butch, the other thing I'm asking is it your intention that we bring all of the bills before the committee each month? Or whether they'll be processed for anything that lands within the existing budget allocation that we have set up on each line item?
well, I think our initial program was if they were small bills like under 25,000, we would, and we had a small group that was approving them through procurement, but anything over that came to the full committee to be voted on. That's
Those
what I
were
believe.
those were change orders, Butch. These are,
all those.
these would be invoices within like, for example, we have a budget, we have a construction contract in the amount of 14.4 million with DA Sullivan.
Right.
Are we bringing each contractual billing within 14.4 million to the committee for approval? Or do we have the authorization to expend that monthly in the same manner that we've done with the temporary fire station bills? We process the bills, we update the budget and present the updated budget to the committee. We'll work either way. I just want to make sure I know what the ground rules are going forward.
Right. I don't personally have a problem with that way of doing business, because you send them all to procurement anyways. You
Right.
review them, procurement reviews them before they're paid. Anybody else want to weigh in on that process?
It comes through us as well.
Yeah, so there's a lot of checks and balances here.
Would it
know-
make sense to do a higher dollar amount figure though?
On the change order piece?
No, I thought we already established a change order policy. I think this is general construction costs.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm fine with, I mean, we have the procedure that we've been using now where the city signs off on it, the architect signs off on it, the project manager signs off on it. I just wonder if the committee
You
would
sign
like to
off on
see.
it.
And I sign off on it on behalf of the city. I just wonder if the committee wants to see more of that or not.
well, you're going to present them at each meeting as they come up, aren't you, Neil?
I certainly can.
Yeah, just what's been expended, that, and update the budget at each meeting.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. That work for everybody?
No objection here.
Yeah. Let us know when you get to 16 million, then we'll scream.
I was just gonna say,
Oh my gosh.
you know when to tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You good, Neil, with all that?
Yep. We'll proceed as we have in the past. And if anybody has any questions, they can always reach out to me and I'll answer them the best I can.
Okay. And Katrina, you'll be kind of ready on the 17th for
Yes.
perfect. All right.
With regard to the 17th, I would probably invite all the city councilors. We do have Derek Healy as our representative. This is kind of a difficult time of day for him to always be on these meetings, but so just so you know, I would definitely include all of the city councilors in an invite to join the meeting on the 17th for that particular reason. So it certainly be city councilors, and we'll probably let the general public know as well.
Do you feel we could do the meeting a little later in the afternoon if that would serve your purpose, Mayor?
It's up to everybody else, 5:30, that probably would work as well. Many city councilors do work, they work regular jobs, so that they don't have a lot of flexibility. So if everybody's okay with a different meeting time for that meeting, and it's not too late, 5:30 is good.
Does that work for Katrina?
Well, I do teach on Thursday evenings,
Oh.
but
Okay.
I have the adjustability as I want to. Nobody, says you absolutely have to do this and you're stuck with that. So I can move it around with my students. It's flexible enough. I can do that.
Perfect. Okay. So
Mayor,
next week,
Mayor
Yeah.
or Butch, would there be an interest in doing this on Monday, the 14th? Only because we'll all be together for the groundbreaking anyway?
At 11 a.m. So I know you wouldn't get.
oh, you're talking about later in the afternoon doing it on the 14th though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How does that work?
Just a suggestion. I would
Yeah.
imagine we're going to have most of the players there.
Right.
But at what time later in the afternoon?
Yeah.
I mean, does that mean that Pacheco Ross is going to stick around for several hours?
Yeah. That's probably not such a good idea. We should stick with the 17th, I
Yeah.
think.
Right. I mean, we're talking about having regular meetings either the second or third Thursday, so.
Right. Okay.
Never mind.
Everybody all set with that? Perfect. Motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Who-
All in favor? All in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks
I don't
and
think we-
congratulations again.
I don't think anybody's
Thanks, everyone.
opposed.